So today, in today's video, I have a guest here, my friend Evans, and before we start this video, he's going to introduce himself for a bit, and then we can dive in.
So I'm Evans from Kenya. Check out my YouTube channel, Evans from Kenya.
So welcome, Evans.
Thank you, thank you.
So in today's video, we are going to dive into we're going to have a look at this video here, and then we will give our reaction and our detailed analysis to it. So without wasting time, let's dive into this video and come back and give our honest opinions.
Okay.
All right.
If you've been on TikTok for a while, you must have heard about a ton of Africans telling you that Europeans stole Africa's resources. Now, there's a lot to say about that. First and foremost, most of these resources are still in Africa, and they're not being stolen by Europeans. They're actually being sold to Europeans by the African state leadership. Your own elites are robbing you. It's not us doing it, not anymore. The real issue, of course, is why aren't Africans using their own resources to do things? Why does Mr. Beast have to go to Kenya to build water wells? Why didn't the Kenyan government do it themselves? I suppose the Kenyan government could have done it themselves. They just chose not to do it. Nigeria is now a country of almost 220 million people, the largest country in Africa. But they only produce about 10% of the electricity that a small country like Hungary. Hungary only has 10 million people, but they produce 10 times as much electricity as Nigeria does. I mean, I know you want to have your Wakanda, right? But do you expect white people to give it to you? No, you're supposed to build it yourself. Having said all this, it is of course obvious that we Europeans in the north need to prepare for a possible, potential African rise in terms of technology and therefore also in terms of military capacity. And that means we in Europe need to already start looking ahead and thinking ahead about how we are going to win the war against Africa, because there will be a future war between Europe and Africa.
So, my brother.
Yes, sir.
On a light note, as you have heard, have you been on TikTok for a while, and have you heard about there's a war between Africa and Europe?
You know, first and foremost, what I can say is this man is fearful. And they say, mjinga kerevuka mwerevu yu mashakani. This is a Swahili proverb. It means when the fool gets wise, the wise is in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
And that is what has been happening. Now, the person who's been wise, according to me, is the white man. Not even according to me, it's true.
Yes.
They've been wise for a long time. The Africans have always been a fool. And whatever he's afraid of is the Africans have come to an enlightenment. See what's happening in the West African countries. Look at Senegal. Look at what Senegal did. Look at what the First Lady of Sierra Leone said about Western powers. We can't be like, this person is basing his arguments that we've been selling stuff to them and then saying that they have stolen it, while it is us who have sold stuff to them. Do you think we've sold stuff to them, or have they stolen? From there, we can continue after you answer this.
This is how that guy should have begun that video. If he's giving his objective and true opinion. First of all, they have stolen resources from Africa, and the West should first accept that. They should accept that they have taken resources from Africa for many years. Someone said we would not be having pyramids in Egypt and Sudan today had it been possible to lift them to Europe. And it is true. So, and I do not want to overlook the fact that we have African puppets, and we have people in Africa that are doing shoddy business, you know, and selling our resources for personal selfish gain to the West. But the truth is, the West is exploiting Africa.
Actually, the right word is exploiting.
Exploitation.
Stealing. It's exploitation. And exploitation, stealing is a form of exploitation as well.
Yes. What I am personally not aware of is, and I'm just realizing that is that we need to prepare for a war. And you just
what war is
said,
this?
I don't know what war these people are asking us and are asking themselves to prepare. But now maybe we have been rattled, and we have been woken up to realize that there is a war. But what I'm trying to say is, you just said that they're now afraid. Because
afraid.
we have realized the
It
truth.
shows in his voice as well.
And
The
now
voice only.
they're asking themselves to prepare for a war. Our war we are not aware of. The only thing we are doing as Africans is we are taking our place. We are realizing the truth. And we are standing up to oppression and exploitation.
Yes.
But we are not in for any kind of war. But the war that we are going to be in for is we are not going to be exploited anymore. If that calls for a war,
then let it be.
then
If the meaning of war changed in the dictionary,
I think so.
and it became war is equal to Africans, Africa refusing exploitation,
Standing up against
standing up against exploitation,
neo-colonialism, then maybe we are in for the war.
Remember, brother, you see, countries in the West African countries in the West African region of Africa have shown a huge example
Yeah.
of why this person is saying war, of why this person is saying there might be a future war. Because remember what is happening in Burkina Faso. These people started by chasing away the France embassy. They said, we don't want any French embassy here. The French embassy went away. They went to Mali. We don't want a French embassy here. The French embassy went away. They came to Niger. We don't want a French embassy here. The French embassy went away. Senegal, the former president of Senegal was a puppet. The person who this person is saying that is selling African stuff, and then we are saying that they are stealing. These people are not selling. It's the Western government who are plotting. The leaders, they are placing leaders who are easy to exploit.
Yes.
Leaders who are greedy. A leader can sell a huge mass of land that does not affect him and his family. It affects other Africans. And when the brother is saying that we still have our resources there, natural resources is very hard to just finish it off. It will always be there.
Yes.
But as long as you took even 1 gram of it in the right way, in the wrong way, you are liable and you secure the name thief.
Yes. Exactly.
Even 1 gram, does not matter how much you left. Even 1 gram without permission. There's no way uranium from Niger can be powering the whole of France, and the country of Niger does not have electricity.
That's exploitation.
Even the person who is selling this, is he having a sane mind?
I mean, just because you're able to, if I'm able to acquire a few resources
Yes, sir.
through uncouth means, through an African leader, does not really make it not exploitation. Huh? Are you comfortable just going to pick from someone things that you really know that you're not getting them fairly just because you can get them? No.
And when the person stands up and says, stop stealing my things, you get angry and you say, I'm going to fight you.
And you start preparing for a war just because they stood up and said, yo, you're not going to take. There is no way today, as we might have said or mentioned before, that the diamonds from the Congo do not add up to the GDP
of the country
of Congo, while Israel, that has little
Israel
to
is a
no
desert. It's a desert.
yeah,
bro.
little to no diamond mines, is a huge exporter of refined diamond.
How comes?
How comes? And then we'll talk about in a country that is so unstable like the Congo, and we will talk about the 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 instability of African nations. Maybe in another video, we know where the instability is stemming from. We know who is fueling or instigating the instability.
Yes, yes.
But really, there is no way we will talk about there is no exploitation. We are getting them from their people. A country that is on its knees, man. Instead of helping me to stand up,
there is a lot of arguments we can bring against what this brother said, but I feel like it's a waste of time. There's no need to argue with this guy. Ever since these people started, we are not giving our things out of will.
yes,
It's being taken forcefully. It started with the humans. Yeah, it started with the Africans. They came and stole us and took us to work for them. That was not enough. They came and now they started exploiting our natural resources. Congo is the richest country in terms of natural resources.
sure,
And Napoleon was very much aware of this. Napoleon, who is celebrated in the West. Napoleon is so much celebrated in the West. When he came here, he knew how much Congo was rich in natural resources, and he said Congo is going to be a Belgian state, and he called Congo a Congo Free State.
Yes.
The only thing which was free in Congo was River Congo. Or any other any other country would use that river just to navigate. You can pass through the river, but do not touch my country. It's mine. It's a Congo Free State, Belgian Congo Free State. What happens next? The Belgian king, Leopold, he kills 10 million Africans. Bro, do you know what is 10 million people? It's an entire
genocide,
country.
a massacre.
Like he has said Hungary has 10 million people. It's like everyone in Hungary dies because of one man. One man who is celebrated by other people. We stand up, we say, when Belgium was exploiting the riches of Congo, did any African leader sell it to him? When Mobutu Sese Seko was doing his evil things, the CIA worked so hard with Mobutu Sese Seko to make sure that Patrice Lumumba was killed. Can you say that the voice of Mobutu Sese Seko is the voice of Africans? We cannot say that the voice of Idi Amin is the voice of Ugandans. You can't say that, bro. We can't say the voice of Hitler is the voice of people of Europe. No.
Yes.
It's an individual. An individual is not greater than a country, bro. So this man needs to check the doctor, bro.
And I'm thinking, just before we end this video, we have to accept the truth. You can't fight the truth. Huh? The West is meddling in political affairs of Africa. Every other time they get an opportunity, it is their chance to dive in the name of they are going to oversee or help or do whatever they are doing. But it's never genuine help. If they want to help, it's fine, because we are also helping them in one way or the other. We all are depending on each other in one way or the other. And now, maybe my final take is this. Hearing this guy talk about is a war, they need to prepare for a war between Europe and Africa, then it is maybe a call for Africa to also wake up and prepare for the war. So they do not get us.
I think Africans are ready as well, because we had the Russian military group, the mercenaries. It's called the Wagner. The Wagner group have been employed in Western Africa, in the border of I think it's Ghana and Burkina Faso. We have the Wagner group working so hard to keep an eye on Nana Akufo-Addo, because he's also another puppet. So they are busy working hard, making sure there is security. So coming to Africa and trying to colonize Africa, it won't be easy like it was back then.
Yes.
There will be scratches.
But just in case, you and I need to know that someone is plotting for a war against us. So it's time for us to stop arguing over who is who between ourselves and among ourselves. Stand together in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, and wait for the enemy from outside.
Yes.
It's time that we started to overlook those borders that the European drew in Africa. you know, and we stop arguing on, we stop measuring on minor stuff like those, and stood for one another and against whoever that is plotting for a war.
True.
But and as much as we know, is we're just calling out for exploitation to stop of our natural resources or whatever kind of other resource that we have.
And even the human resource.
Yes, we are not going to fight anyone just by saying that. But
We
if
don't
that
have the
calls
time.
for
If
war,
it calls for,
then maybe we need to prepare. That is just what we are saying.
even us sitting here and doing this video, some people fought for this.
Yes,
That's why we have the liberty of doing this.
we don't want war against anyone. We don't even want discriminative behaviors, you know, of people of color discriminating white people or white people discriminating others. We're not ready for war. We don't have time for war. But we're just saying, don't do this.
Yeah.
If you feel offended by me standing up against exploitation, then so be the war. Yes, so my brother, I think we've come to the end of this video, unless you have any final take.
I don't have much to say, brother. The thing I can say is that Africans right now pick up your shield
And armor.
and armor and prepare.
And be ready and protect one another.
Always, let's be ready always, because we never know where the enemy will attack from.
Let's first begin by fighting the divide and rule tactic,
Divide
by
and rule.
overlooking these borders that we have in Africa.
Yeah.
Stand for one another and see if they're planning for another Berlin conference thing. We never know, because they did this without informing us. So they could be doing it again today.
And guys, kindly check out my boy. Kindly subscribe to Simon's channel. He's an upcoming African content creator who is trying to make it for you to be able to get these voices of African leaders, to get updated on matters of Africa.
Yeah.
So you don't want to miss. Kindly subscribe to Simon AfriSite channel.
Thank you very much, brother, and thank you for your time.
Yeah, I appreciate.
Yeah, I will. Your channel is Evans from Kenya.
Yes,
I will
Kenya.
also put it the link in my description bio.
Perhaps I'm in too much hurry.
Don't worry.
Okay.
And until next time, guys. Peace.